Hi, it's Jodie May. So here we are in the UK, and we are suffering the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune because nobody actually wants to recognise the problem of bloody Brexit. Brexit has been a disaster from day one. Everybody that had any level of intelligence knew that this was going to be an absolute disaster for most of the people in the country. And yet they listened to people who were failed politicians like Nigel Farage and the extreme members of the Tory party who were ruble millionaires, probably. I wouldn't say they're billionaires or whatever. But Russia certainly had something to gain out of UK leaving Europe, didn't it? Except it didn't work quite the way that people expected that to go either, did it? But that said, this is just a recovery move. The Tories were fed by the Russians to start with. Why were they fed by the Russians? Well, they've got the same views as the Russians. The Russians are very anti-LGBT, they are very anti-woke, they are very single race. Although they encompass other races, they are primarily Russians. So they're very nationalistic, and that is the formula. Make a country as nationalistic as you possibly can. They will then accept the trope of the right wing. They will then try to remove the rights of women. They will then try to push the side of religion. They will then try to persecute anybody who is not of the majority, and in so doing that will unite the majority. And that is the theory behind racist right-wing politics. And what is the substance behind the theory of racist right-wing politics? Greed. And why is that? It's because the people who are the richest in that society don't want to lose their positions of superiority. I've got mine, I'm keeping mine, you will work for me because you are a serf and therefore inferior. And from those that are working in this wonderful economy, those that aren't working are therefore scum. Those that are unable to work because they're sick are also undeserving, avoidant of work, and work of itself is meant to be a good thing. And all the people who aren't working because they've inherited huge amounts of money, or they have made their own money by exploiting others. Brilliant, great, perfect. That is the way that they think. They don't want anybody getting out of the pit in which they are set. They make their statements that they do, but they act in a contrary manner. Now, if you think of the people who are in charge of this country, it is primarily those in responsible positions who have arrived in their responsible positions through the public school system. And that pertains to virtually all of the Houses of Parliament. I mean, there are honourable exceptions like Mary Black, for example, and I can't think of another one off the top of my head. But the rest of them, look at the statistics on the amount of people who are actually from private schools, public schools, private schools. They're not from the comp. They're not from the comprehensive, which is the main form of education in this country. And they're not from our primary schools a lot of the time as well. So they don't even go into the primary school system. They are elite from day one. And they are the ones that are running and ruining the country. They are the ones that have taken the Brexit nightmare to your doorstep. They are the ones that have created inflation higher than anybody has seen for a long time. They are the ones who have been abandoning all of the previous morality which was applicable to British politics. These are the people. These are the people that have thrown democracy asunder and just given into their own internal desires of greed and control and extremism. That's all I've got to say.